Hey everybody, how are you? Good, good. Okay. Do you need this for the recording? Do you want the microphone going?
You don't mind,
Okay.
yeah, that way we can get
Um,
you recording on it.
Okay, cool. Well, this is going to be an information session. I've got a lot of fun slides. We're going to talk about technology. The first thing we're going to talk about, though, is digital marketing. How many of you guys are advertising on Google or Facebook today for your companies? Almost everybody. Okay, great. And then how many of you have a website? I guess I should probably start with that. Everybody. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to skip through some of this stuff pretty quickly because I think you guys are obviously experts. You're looking to learn. You have some good practices in place, but I wanted to just share with you guys some things that you should be mindful of. So I forgot a clicker, but quick background. I'm the guy in the middle, as you can tell by the hair. Before I started Trove with my brother, we were retailers in California. So we kind of came into the industry about 6 years ago, a little naive. We didn't really know what a manufactured home was. And we started with just a very simple premise, which is that we could have a single lot model, but really good technology, and we could sell a lot of homes using digital advertising. And in the 4 years that we were a retailer, we generated about 50,000 online leads, sold about 600 homes, and really had quite a small overhead and online presence, physical presence. So we learned a whole lot about that, and we thought that we could start a company just really to help people adopt some of those best practices in their business. Basically, we did our entire retailership using just online advertising. So we didn't have billboards, we didn't have word of mouth or a long track record of installing homes. It was entirely off of the back of Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So I wanted to just help people understand how best to use those platforms because they're really critical. And they're critical for a couple of key reasons. The first is, at least in my mind, online advertising is sort of the billboard of the future. It's where people's attention is going, as you can probably tell by how much time you spend online. But what's really important from a trend perspective is that literally as of 2024, millennials have become the largest home buying generation in the country. So it's no longer the boomers. And this buying generation has different sort of online shopping practices than the previous generation before them. The first is that almost 80% or more than 80% of them start any sort of purchase by shopping online first. So being able to discover your business through a website, as you all know, is becoming really critical. In addition to that, having a really good website experience is really critical, as 88% of online shoppers won't return to a website if they had a bad experience. So it's important not to just throw something up there, but to actually curate a good experience that gets them interested in calling you or reaching out and coming to the lot. So that's some background. What is digital marketing? I think you guys probably know the high-level concepts, but I wanted to get into the nitty-gritty just a little bit. There's really two primary channels of marketing. There's paid marketing, and then there's organic marketing. So paid advertising is when you actually give money to a Facebook or a Google, and you buy traffic. So people can see the ads, they can click on the ads. You can appear number one on Google. You can shove an ad into someone's Facebook feed just with money. That is a really great way to drive fast, immediate results. And then there's also organic marketing. So you'll probably hear the word SEO or search engine optimization, but this is how you rank if someone were to say, what are the top 10 places to buy a mobile home? Or who should I call about a manufactured home? Those generic searches, that's your organic ranking. That's really, really powerful if you become a website that pops up high for those searches because it's basically free traffic. The issue with it is that it takes quite some time to develop that. It's more of a long-term growth strategy. But when you're thinking about your strategy, really both are important. Some quick examples just of what paid ads are, just so as we get into this discussion, you guys, we're all speaking the same language. For Google specifically, paid ads are when you make a search for something and there's that sponsored box up top. So if we have a search for the name of your company, a name of maybe one of your competitors, a name for something generic like mobile homes, you can actually buy this top position and buy traffic to your website in the geographic areas that you want to target. Same thing with Google Maps. This is actually really important for local services businesses like retailers. you can actually buy the #1 spot in Google Maps. So when someone's searching to find, hey, is there a retailer near me? Boom, you can buy traffic there. So that's what a paid ad is on Google. There's also all sorts of other places that Google can market to you. So when someone visits your website, you can actually track them on places like YouTube or what they call display. So you might be on NBA.com like a week later, and you could see an ad for your retailer because we've been able to track that visitor from their visit to your website. So Google's a super powerful platform. It's probably the #1 platform I recommend people to use when they're getting started or trying to drive more traffic online. And then Facebook ads, Instagram ads, these are really exciting and very visual. Here's some examples that we do for our clients, but more traditional looking ads are kind of like just photos of homes, which you could see sort of here on the right. And I think you guys have all seen tons of Facebook ads throughout your life. These are really good at sort of creating awareness. So if there's, for instance, people in your area aren't familiar with manufactured homes, or you've just completed like a really nice project, or you've got like some content of a happy customer, it's really great at getting in front of tons of people and driving interest, and good at creating like high volume of sort of lower quality leads. So I'll explain the trade-offs of the two channels later, but Google leads are inherently very high intent because they're actively searching for your product, whereas Facebook, Instagram, it's sort of more passive. They're scrolling through their feed and then they get inspired to check out a home. So two different kinds of leads, which we'll go into in more detail. And then organic. So one of the key things that a lot of my clients ask me about is, if someone types in the word manufactured home Paris or manufactured home Alabama or whatever, how do you rank high on that search? That's organic, like we mentioned earlier. Same thing with posting to your Facebook or your Instagram. Creating lots of content, sort of creating a follower base on your Facebook page are all really great ways for you to generate basically free traffic. So anyways, those are sort of the example pillars of different ads. SEO, I won't even read you guys this slide because you'll fall asleep. But there's a bunch of minutia that you need to do effectively to make your website discoverable, so it can be read by Google and optimized. So doing things like actually labeling the name of a photo, manufactured Clayton home, 3-bedroom, will allow it to be discovered in images in Google search. Like tons of little stuff like this. The other really big pillar is managing your Google My Business profile, which will help you just appear high. So when someone types in your business, a little widget pops up on the right-hand side. I'm not sure if you've seen that before on a Google search, but you can see photos and your reviews and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, really, really, really boring, super, super boring, but impactful. So anyways, in summary, paid ads, you get noticed right away. It costs a lot of money, or whatever budget you want to set.
Question.
Yeah, please.
How much are the ads?
So yeah, great question. Whatever you'd like them to be. So there is no minimum on what you spend on Facebook or Google. What I would say is, what I see with clients is a minimum of probably $500 a month to really test a channel for your location. So that would give you enough sort of visits to really get like a good idea of what your cost per lead is and if any of them convert into sales. The most I've seen a single location spends about $5,000 a month. So there's kind of a big range there. Okay. The traffic, yeah. I realize I'm talking a lot. I tend to do that. If you guys have any other questions. Is this all making sense? Is this? Okay, cool. Yeah, so long story short, it's important to both have paid and organic. I think this is sort of the ideal marketing strategy, is that you would use Google ads and Facebook ads to drive traffic to your website, build a Facebook following, and that will allow you to, as your website has more traffic, build an organic ranking where you can have content about how to build a manufactured home or photos of other projects that you've done. And those two in combination will allow your website to rank really high. And eventually, theoretically, you could turn off paid advertising and you'd have enough traffic to keep yourself busy just based on the sort of online authority of your website. So that is that. So Okay, so that's kind of the boring part. I just wanted to lay the groundwork of everything. I'm sure you guys know a lot of this already. How many people here are like actively involved in the management of your retailers, like branding or marketing? Like, okay, yeah. So you guys are setting budgets or thinking through how to invest in these channels. Okay, so hopefully this part's helpful for you, because when I first started marketing online, I was very confused how much to do, how long to do it, how to make sure it actually made any sense. So this is supposed to help sort of table set. So this is like a dashboard that we could provide you, or someone or yourself could get. The three metrics that matter in figuring out, how to monitor or track the performance of your marketing is your traffic, your conversion rate, and your number of leads. So traffic is just the number of visitors you get to your website. Your conversion rate is how many people that visit your website actually sign up or give you a call. And then leads are obviously people that have signed up or called you. So if we were to define some of the metrics of digital marketing, if you were to spend, for example, $5,000 a month on digital marketing, you might generate 2,500 visitors. If 2% of those visitors converted, which is actually pretty common, that it's somewhere between 1 and 5%, you generate 50 leads. So on that $5,000 of spend, you generated 50 leads. That cost you $100 per lead. Now, leads are great, but leads unfortunately don't pay the bills. You actually need to convert those leads into sales. Depending on the channel, I've seen lead conversion rates as low as 1%, as high as 20%. But if you're at 10%, somewhere in the middle, you might sell 5 homes off this investment. So now as a business owner, you're going, okay, great. I basically spend $1,000 per home sold in marketing. I'm making 25 grand in profit on that house. That's a super great ROI, no brainer. We should continue to spend more money. That's the quick math. Did that make sense? Did I go through that too quickly? Okay. Okay, great. Keep moving forward. In terms of all these numbers, there's really only a couple things you can control. So your website visitors, obviously, this is something you could drive by spending more money on marketing or having better organic ranking. Your website conversion rate really comes down to how good is your online experience. Do you have the good pillars in place to get people to sign up? And then finally is the lead to the home sold conversion rate, which is a combination of everything that Cesar is talking about today, but as well as having a CRM and some other things in place to make sure you're following up with the leads. So we're going to talk about how really you can move these three in a way that would make sense. So like I said, 3 metrics: traffic, conversion rates, leads, and sales. Traffic, there's a bunch of different channels. Google, Facebook, Instagram is where I would primarily focus you. TikTok is sort of like an emerging channel that you could consider, but it's primarily Gen Z at the moment, and they can't buy homes just yet. So give them a couple more years. Most of the money is on Facebook and Instagram and Google. So in terms of the website, I know there's kind of an overwhelming assignment as a retailer to have a nice website, because so many different homes you can source from, and there's photos, and how do you keep prices up to date and manage a bunch of catalogs and stuff. But some of the key things to make sure you do on your website is obviously have a prominent phone number. A lot of people will just want to call. You really want to have online forms sort of throughout the website so they can sign up in all sorts of places. If you're able to have photos of real homes, either ones that the factory's provided or of projects that you've completed, they perform a lot better than renderings. If you are willing to put prices of your homes online, also a really great way to get people to call. And then any sort of engaging tools you can have on the website, which I'll talk about more in a second. It's really important. If people actually spend a lot of time on your website, it will boost your organic ranking online, because Google sees that as your website is providing quality content and is engaging with people. So that's really important. And then it's also nice to have some team member photos so people can see who they're going to call. And then finally, CRM, which I'm sure you guys are all well familiar with, given Cesar's playbook here. But being able to track those leads, making sure they're actually getting followed up with, moving them through a pipeline, going to be critical for changing your conversion rate. So we'll talk about what makes a good CRM in a second. So I think, and sorry if this is a lot of numbers, but I kind of just think about this stuff in terms of money. But if you were able to actually just double, these variables, the 3 that you can control, you could have a massive impact on your business. So, if today you've got about 1,000 website visitors and about 2% of them actually sign up, you're getting 20 leads. If you sell 2 homes at 25 grand margins, you're making 50,000 a month in terms of gross profit. But if you could double the number of online visitors, double the conversion rate, and double how many of those actually turn into sales, all of a sudden you could sell 16 homes a month. So super impactful to your business, and you could buy a small island if it all worked out. So,
Can we ship a home there?
So oftentimes when I give this presentation, people go, "Wow, like this seems too good to be true. Like we can just make $4 million. Why doesn't everyone do that?" Well, it's a little harder than it looks. So there's a concept that I think took me a long time to understand about marketing, specifically digital marketing, but it's sort of the concept of the billboard test. So I think when people think about a billboard, it's kind of a pretty classic example of marketing. Throw a billboard on the side of the highway, a lot of traffic goes by, people see it, they get interested and they give you a call. So maybe you build one of these and you find out that the $50,000 billboard generated you 10 sales. Fantastic. Like that cost me $5,000 a home. I'm making more money than that. Boom. Let's do that again, right? Billboards are great. They worked so awesome. I throw another billboard on the side of the highway. So now I got a second one. The problem is it's the same traffic sort of driving by in this region. Now there's 2 billboards. They go, okay, well, now we sold a couple extra homes. That extra billboard actually cost me $10,000 a home in terms of homes sold, right? It's been another $50,000, but I only sold 5 more. Still kind of working out, but just not as great as the first billboard. So let's just throw a third one in there. Why not? All of a sudden now, this billboard doesn't drive any incremental sales because everyone that's driven by has already seen one of the other 2 billboards. You're spending $50,000 to acquire that last customer, and unfortunately, you've got the law of diminishing returns sort of hurting you. So what's really important with digital marketing is to sort of think of it as a well. So whether it's traditionally radio or billboard, but in the new modern age, Facebook, Instagram, Google, depending on how big your radius that you're marketing in, the products or the demand for your products, how good your advertising is, there's only a certain amount of sort of what I would say profitable marketing you can do in a certain channel. So maybe in your region it's $2,000 on Facebook, $4,000 on Google, for whatever combination of reasons. That's the optimal amount, or maybe it's 10 times that or half that, you don't really know. So the only way you can find out is to do a test. So the most efficient way to test, in my opinion, is to sort of estimate what you would be willing to pay for a sale of a home. If you go, okay, the most I'm willing to spend is $4,000 basically to acquire an incremental sale every month. What I would recommend you do is pick a channel, invest that amount of money for 3 months, track how many leads you get, track how many of them convert into sales. If you get more than, let's say, 3 homes sold or 4 homes sold or whatever your target is, great, you should continue or increase your investment in that channel. You may find out that you generated no business or 1 sale and not enough. Then I would lower your spend. So this whole process, the sort of initial testing and then the refinement, might take you up to like 6 months per channel, realistically. But once you sort of have established that, you've got a really nice baseline from which you can kind of run your business, month to month. So any digital marketing agency, myself, Build Media, whoever, will give you a monthly report. You should be able to see your cost per lead. You should be able to track which ones become sales. And as soon as you've got one channel established, you can layer in the other channels. So if you repeat this playbook over and over again, you should be able to establish a really nice budget and pipeline from your online business. So let me just pause there. Happy to go back to any of that. Did that make sense to you guys? Getting some nods. 3 people are asleep. 2 people are on Instagram. Okay. Great. Okay, cool. Well, quick playbook. Because I'm sure you guys want to just leave here with some actionable stuff. Obviously, the first thing you should do is build a website. Then you want to install a CRM. Then you want to launch marketing. I want to talk about these 2 real quick and just show you some of like the more sort of cutting edge stuff you can do with your website and your CRM that you should do when you go home. So the first thing that I would really recommend is being able to actually display the homes that you have for sale. So you could have, the most magnificent, like, I'm the best manufactured home dealer in the world, but people won't call you unless they can kind of like fall in love with a house. So the factories are really good at providing it. Obviously, if you source from multiple factories, you can get kind of overwhelmed with the content, but having a website with a nice catalog shows the actual photos of homes, and if you can, prices, really, really helpful for increasing your website's performance. There are visualization tools now that are available, whether it be from the manufacturers or from third parties. You can actually give your customers the ability to design and price tools online now. This is really good for engagement and also should streamline your sales process a little bit. There's mapping tools, so you can actually type in an address and it will display all of the homes that you have for sale and scale them to the actual parcel. So people can move those around and get excited and kind of like visualize where the house would go and mirror the floor plan, put a bedroom over there, all that good stuff. Also, really, really helpful for sort of sales teams if you guys are doing the installation or teeing off the contractor for the project. Could save a lot of time, and a really good tool for in your retail centers as well. Another really important thing that a lot of tools have online is a mortgage calculator. So, if you can display the prices of your homes, but then also show what the monthly nut will be, that really helps people visualize what they can afford. There's an ability on some of them to just sort of change the terms, the interest rate, down payment, etc. And then the customers can kind of, think about the home as more of like a car payment than a big giant lump sum. That can be a little frightening. There's a lot of tools to do this, but there's an intake form. So sometimes you'll notice if you advertise online, there's a lot of tire kickers or people that kind of just like don't really have even the basic level of intent to be worthy of calling back. These sort of intake quizzes can be good at one, figuring out like are they qualified? Do they have cash? But two, are they interested enough to actually complete it? Can really help you figure out who to call back, who to prioritize, and streamline your sales process. This is kind of a big leap, but if you're able to actually like expose the prices of not just the home, but also like the upgrade costs and all the installation costs, you can kind of start to give the customer an idea of the full picture. This isn't just the house. You also need a piece of land probably and stairs and landings, and you're going to want to put the two modules together. So lots of reasons that it's not just the base price of the house. But what's nice is if you can break it out like that, you can advertise the unit like the base price. So you can be competitive and honest at the same time, which is, I think, one of the hardest challenges as a retailer. Because some people will just show the base price, but that's misleading. And then other people will bundle all their prices in, but then they seem expensive. So it's like a lose-lose situation. And a lot of retailers, as a result, just don't put prices online at all, which I totally understand because it's pretty hard to do. But if you're willing to invest the time to set this up, it's really impactful for, again, just sort of like online traffic, establishing sort of like a transparent, like high credibility sort of sales organization, and also should save you a lot of time because, the number of times people call me about a $20,000 Amazon house that they saw once is just countless. So no point in talking to those people, unfortunately. I wish them all the best. There's some other stuff too. If you really want to, you can let them upload their own documents and kind of like give them questions and give them like a communication feed. Hey, this is where your project's at. This is how much time you're going to need for whatever. Again, just more reasons for them to come back to the website and streamline your sales process. Another really important thing is to set up an automated email. So if someone signs up, ideally they could pick what team member they're working with or have it be automatically applied, and then boom, get an email. Here's the home you looked at. Thanks so much. We're going to give you a call. Here's your sales rep. If you want to call them, put a face to it, make sure they get that email right away. Really important, kind of just like the basic expectations in today's online world. So yeah, I'll pause there. That was a big section. All that stuff sound good?
So all those website features that you just showed, is that your product or is that just templates that are out there? How do you build those different
all that stuff is our platform suite for a website, but a lot of it you could go, if you didn't want to work with us, you could piece it together. So probably the hardest one would be the configurators, but a lot of the factories provide it, Clayton's included. So you could in some cases like link those to your website, but everything that we just ran through is sort of like our platform in a box.
Okay.
But we've just built these specific features because when we were retailers, we wanted them. But yeah, you don't have to work with us. You can. I could send you like a list of different like softwares you could buy to piece it all together if you wanted to.
Overall, are you seeing a trend towards transparent pricing on websites, or still kind of no price? Kind of what themes are you seeing?
Yeah, I would say 70% of our clients show prices.
Okay.
But it is the number one thing I talk to people about because it's such a leap from the traditional way of doing things. I think the old school model would be to bring someone in, figure out their budget, and then go talk to the boss and figure out a number of $1,000 less than that. But I think that kind of turns people off. I think just buying styles are changing. Like my fiance just designs couches and everything online first before she calls anybody. Like she wants to see the price of it. Same with the car, it's pretty standard in cars. So a lot of like the really successful brands that we work with, like Homes Direct on the West Coast, they have 20 locations. Their whole ethos was just, we're gonna mark up the house by like a competitive rate, and we're gonna put it online, and we're not gonna start high and discount it down. We're just gonna start with the number that we're happy with. And they've been really successful with that. So
do they break out the delivery set, all that kind of stuff, or they just kind of?
They just do the home. Yeah. So their model's a little different than what I would propose because they just show the house. They'll show you photos of the house with the upgrades in it.
Okay.
So you get in there and you realize you need to upgrade a little bit to get to the photos that you're seeing. But they're pretty clear about how it does not include delivery and installation, some of those things. Really the way I think about it in terms of the website is it's just an educational tool. So I wouldn't put like every single thing that might possibly happen. I would include like, hey, here's your house, but you also are going to need delivery or like AC or like a couple different items just to get them sort of pre-qualified, I guess, for the concept of there being kind of like a two-staged product that you're selling.
Okay.
But yeah, we have some people that fully adopt it. Because a lot of our clients are also contractors, like they're doing the installation. So it gives their team kind of like a quick construction estimate. In the tool, you can actually type in actuals later. So like they kind of get like a quick budget online, and then you can follow up in a week and be like, here's what we actually think it's going to be. And the sales process kind of begins there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. Cool. Well, then the CRM piece, I know you guys, does anyone know what a CRM is?
Customer management.
Yeah.
So it is relationship or relationship?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Where do you put your leads?
That's where you put your leads. You guys know it. That's where you put your leads. You're going to want to make sure your customer gets an email. You get an email. I'm not sure how you generate proposals, but good CRM can generate a proposal on both the house and on the construction sort of like map, so to speak. So being able to produce those really quickly, not just send an email, is a nice touch. And then probably the most important thing that I'd give you guys is, whether it's us or someone else, if you're doing digital marketing, there's a really powerful dynamic where you can use the customers that have come into your CRM and feed them back into the algorithm. So if you get leads that are unqualified or leads that you've actually sold to, that data is super helpful for them to target similar like people. I don't understand how they know that. It's kind of creepy. But if you can give them a list of like, these are the 20 people that have bought from us, they're going to be way more effective at targeting the next buyer. And you should be able to set up an automated feed from your CRM back into those channels. So definitely would recommend you guys do that. And then I think the last thing is just to like really track your metrics and like try to be unemotional about it. I think being able to see these leads come in, see how many of them come to the sales step, I mean, the most important thing I think to track really is how much did you spend on that channel, and then how many of them converted into sales, because that kind of gives you your cost to acquire customers. So I don't have a slide on this, but I definitely would make sure that when your CRM is set up, you can track the lead source. You really want to know if it came in from Facebook or Google or from your website. Otherwise, you're kind of just flying blind. I think that's it. I'm sorry if that put you all to sleep, but it's pretty helpful.
I thought it was very interesting.
Thank you so much, Savannah.